1989 Bowman baseball cards, 13 most valuable. If nothing else, 1989 Bowman baseball cards taught collectors a tiny life lesson. Have you ever wanted something so bad that you know that your life is going to change forever once you get it? And then once you do get it, eh, yeah, me too. And that's pretty much what happened for collectors with 1989 Bowman baseball cards, too. For years, we'd been clamoring for one of the major manufacturers to issue a set focusing on player image and massive design elements. At least some of us begged for a return of the more classic look, like we saw with the old 1950 tops or Bowman cards. Well, be careful what you ask for. Because as the hobby was booming and ready to boom more, Topps opened their vault in 1989 and dusted off the Bowman brand that they bought out in 1956. And then they brought us a set that was huge. It had clear images, and they were beautiful, but they were too big, as in oversized. And that still left with Topps old cardstock. And that seemed to exist in far larger quantities than anyone really wanted. Oh well. So, 1989 Bowman was not a big hit. Never has been. But it's still chock full of superstars and big name rookies, and that means there's some valuable cards tucked away in this albatross that no one really knows how to store. What follows then is a list of the 13 most valuable 1989 Bowman baseball cards as determined by actual eBay sales of PSA 10 graded copies. Also note that Topps issued a Tiffany parallel version of the 1989 Bowman baseball cards, available only through hobby dealers and limited to 6,000 factory sets. Tiffany versions of the single cards and PSA 10 generally sell for 5 to 25 times the price listed for the base set. So let's dig in. 1989 Bowman Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card number 220. Everybody knows that Ken Griffey Jr. rookie cards are just about the best thing going for the junk wax era. Heck, some might even say they're the only thing going for the junk wax era, even though plenty of Phil Planetier and Kevin Moss collectors would argue that point. But when you think about junior rookie cards, what comes to mind? The 1989 Upper Deck number 1, right? Fleer and Donruss cards from the same year, maybe. Possibly a Topps traded card here or there. But the truth is, though, that the 1989 Bowman Griffey is every bit as much of a rookie card as the rest of those, and more so than some. Like the Upper Deck Beauty, after all, the Bowman debut card for Griffey comes in as a debut for the brand too, although technically a revival in this case. Of course, 1989 Bowman is not Upper Deck. But while the Bowman revamp is clean and beautiful, its funky size and mushy cardstock and perceived lack of scarcity have blunted its popularity over the years. Still, a Griffey rookie is a Griffey rookie, and Griffey is the king of 1989 Bowman baseball cards, and condition issues have limited the population of PSA 10s to fewer than 2,300 copies. As such, you can expect to pay a handsome sum for a perfect copy. Value $225 to $250. 1989 Bowman Ken Griffey Father and Son, number 259. Quick, which 1989 set features two Ken Griffey Jr. rookie cards? Since we're talking about 1989 Bowman, you might figure that 1989 Bowman would be a pretty safe guess. And you'd be right. Sort of, at least. There on card number 259, Bowman, via Topps, treated collectors to a big image of Ken Griffey Sr. glaring over his right shoulder at a smaller, hands-on-knee Jr., all inside of a very 1980s CRT television, all inside of a very thick white border. It's hideous, and yet somehow gorgeous. And you will pay a privilege of owning this hunk of befuddling cardboard. Value $75 to $85. 1989 Bowman Bo Jackson, number 126. Was there anybody in baseball hotter than Bo Jackson in the late 1980s? On the field? Maybe. In our imaginations and our wax packs? Hardly anyone could touch the two-sport star and Heisman Trophy winner. While Bo's NFL career was cut way short by the same hip injury that also curtailed his baseball development and left him shy of the legendary numbers we all thought that he might put up, his personal legend just won't fade. Value $45 to $65. 1989 Bowman Gary Sheffield, rookie card number 142. Gary Sheffield first came into the public view in the late 1980s as the wonder kid nephew of Dwight Gooden, who was going to be the next great Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Ozzie Smith, Rickey Henderson hybrid. A few tepid seasons for the Milwaukee Brewers and some personal/behavioral red flags later, though, and Sheffield was a bust. Then he went to the San Diego Padres, and things started to look up. Then he became a full-fledged superstar with the Florida Marlins and Los Angeles Dodgers before late career dalliances with the New York Yankees and Detroit Tigers were sullied by whispers of steroids. No matter what you think of him personally, though, the dude was super talented and wound up with 509 home runs among his 2,700 career hits. Throw in 250 plus stolen bases, and it's not hard to see why Sheffield's Bowman rookie card gets decent prices, even if his road to the Hall of Fame seems impassable at this point. Value $50 to $60. 1989 Bowman, Nolan Ryan, number 225. Nolan Ryan did a whole lot more on the major league mounds than just pound Robin Ventura's face, of course. But you already know all about his 50,000 strikeouts, 123 no-hitters, and 300-mile-per-hour fastball, so I won't belabor those points here. But suffice to say that Ryan is pretty much a lock to appear in most valuable lists for any set he graces. Value $45 to $50. 1989 Bowman, Ricky Henderson, number 181. Henderson was gone from the Bronx by the time this card was issued. Back with the Oakland A's where it all started, courtesy of the June 21st trade. Bowman was officially released on July 6th. But Topps and Bowman gave collectors and Yankee fans one last shot of Ricky in pinstripes, the uniform he wore when he cemented his status as an all-timer, the greatest leadoff man and hot dog in baseball history. Pretty much any Henderson card will end up on lists like this one, and the 1989 Bowman looks good in the process. Value $20 to $30. 1989 Bowman, Don Mattingly, number 176. Even though Don Mattingly's performance was sliding as the 1980s waned, due to a back injury that would eventually end his career, none of us could let it go. This was Donnie Baseball, the unquestioned superstar of our era, the man who completely reshaped the hobby with his 1984 Donruss rookie card. He'd be back and better than ever. He'd lead the Yankees to a championship. He was a surefire Hall of Famer. But he wasn't. Manly cards will never die, and his 1989 Bowman is still a popular buy. Value $30 to $40. 1989 Bowman, Cal Ripken, number 9. Ripken wasn't the force he had been early in the decade as the 80s turned to the 90s, but he still had plenty of rabid fans throughout the game. Of course, he rocketed back into the hobby elite in the new decade, winning an MVP award in 1991 and surpassing Lou Gehrig on the Iron Man list in 1995. All of Iron Cal's cards are collectors' favorites these days, and this one is no exception. Value $20 to $30. 1989 Bowman, John Smoltz, number 266. John Smoltz was not yet a household name in 1989, and his Atlanta Braves were going nowhere fast. Except they were. Sort of. I mean, even then, folks thought Smoltz had great potential, and it would be only a couple of years before the Braves staged one of the most dynamic Octobers in recentish memory, before bowing to the Minnesota Twins in the 1991 World Series. By then, Smoltz was starting to hit his stride, and would of course go on to craft a Hall of Fame career as a starter and reliever. Value $25 to $45. 1989 Bowman, Edgar Martinez, number 216. Martinez took a slow burn approach when it came to building his Hall of Fame career, and his cards followed suit in building a hobby following. These days, early Edgar cards have plenty of takers, and they don't come too much earlier than this one. Value $20 to $30. 1989 Bowman, Barry Bonds, number 426. Everybody hates Barry Bonds because he surely, maybe, probably took steroids and other PEDs, broke records that rightfully belonged to Hank Aaron, Roger Maris, or Babe Ruth, or Mark McGwire, but he can't have them either. Oh, and Bonds did stuff in the 2000s that no one has ever done before, and maybe never will again. And with all that vitriol surrounding him, it's hard for Bonds to totally escape the encounterments that come with maybe being the best hitter ever. Like, for example, a middling high price tag for an oversized card that no one likes. And it isn't his rookie card, and it's not from his most monstrous year. Value $15 to $25. 1989 Bowman, Roger Clemens, number 26. Roger Clemens is sort of like the son of Nolan Ryan and Barry Bonds, totally dominant on the mound to an extent that we rarely ever see, but a pariah of PED talk and general personality funkiness. In 1989, Clemens was coming off his first non-Cy Young season since 1985, and it would take another year before he was a monster again. Even so, he was super popular in the hobby as baseball's premier power pitcher, and enough luster remains that his 1989 Bowman can still command some attention. Value $15 to $25. 1989 Bowman, Roberto Alomar, number 458. We all thought that Sandy Alomar Jr. and Roberto Alomar had pretty good chances of being special players, based on scouting reports and bloodlines. Sandy eventually won the 1990 American League Rookie of the Year award for the Cleveland Indians, but it was Robbie who had staying power to craft a Hall of Fame career. Along the way, he also pulled in a couple of World Series rings with the Toronto Blue Jays and was a cog in some pretty darn good Indians and Baltimore Orioles teams. Alomar's 1989 Bowman card, a second-year offering, still has its fans. Value $10 to $20. 1989 Bowman, Robin Ventura, rookie card, number 65. Consider this one as a bonus, as Ventura appeared in the initial version of this list before the pandemic boom changed the pecking order of so many card sets. So, courtesy of the Wax Pack Nostalgia Machine, Robin Ventura was once an Olympian, and he once got the doo-doo beat out of him by Nolan Ryan for charging the mound on the old man. But Ventura also sort of quietly put together a really good career as a first and third baseman for the Chicago White Sox and the New York Mets, along with a couple of other teams. And that leaves him in sort of a Cooperstown parking lot. Value $10 to $20. WaxPackGods.com.